Welcome to the Daily Gerry Anderson podcast, which today begins with the presenter guilty of a revealing slip of the tongue. The email address is gerry.anderson@bbc.co.uk and the sex... Oh, sorry.
What's on your mind today?
I'm sorry. The sex messaging service. I'm terribly sorry. That was a Freudian slip. That's the kind of text I send.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I apologise. That the text messaging service. I didn't mean to say that. 81771. Look, somebody's left a scarf here. Look, that's a woman's scarf. Who's been in here?
I don't know.
Who's that?
Ken.
Who's...
You know what he's like at the weekend.
Anyway, listen. Cruelty. There are a lot of cruel people out there. A gentleman writes to me and he said, you were talking the other day about what you would have in your T-shirt whilst you're running the New York Marathon. What about this? If I flatline, do not resuscitate. Isn't that cruel? Yeah. Some people have no consideration of... I mean, it is quite possible that when I do the New York Marathon, I may die.
We'll bury you, don't worry.
No, but I don't mind, being buried. It's just that I would, rather avoid it. But it's a possibility. But I'm prepared to put myself at risk. Do you know why?
You won't die.
No, I will put myself... Look at me.
Look at me. So you don't have to complete the marathon. Do as much as you can.
What do you mean I don't have to complete it? Do you think I'm some kind of cheat? Do you think I'm Nolan?
Do what you can.
But do you know what I want to do? I'm like Hugo.
There's a good 3 to 5 mile in you.
Listen, there's more than that. I'm like Hugo. I want to put something back. The presenter has a number of pasts. Before he became a member of the BBC family, he followed a number of careers, some honourable, but some downright criminal.
I was out walking last night and a man approached me.
That seems to happen regularly. As a matter of fact, on a daily basis. What is it that attracts men to you?
Well, this man pulled up alongside him.
Curb crawling, was he?
Oh, this man was in a car.
What?
It's true, he was in a car.
That's what I'm saying. He was curb crawling. Yeah.
And he put the passenger window down and he was shouting across the car to me.
That's what they do, yeah.
Yes.
You see a lot of that behind the BBC in Belfast.
And he said to me...
What?
He says, I better not say that. I was going to say, I've got one for you, Coyle. But he said, I have a story for you, Coyle, about your man. You.
Me, yes.
He said he worked with you.
Did he?
Now, I don't know his name.
All right, then. Well, maybe perhaps some clues as to what the place of employment would have been.
Right. He worked with you when you worked in R.A. Burke.
Oh, right. R.A. Burke, ship brokers and forwarding agents.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And he said...
Envoys to Portugal.
You were a proper little Del boy. He said that you used to get cigarettes and foreign drink, like foreign whiskey and whatever, rum or whatever, from the boats, and you sold it to people.
Yeah,
right. And he said, and then he said to me, he says, "Ask him about the floorboards."
I was just about to say that.
Yes,
I was just about to say that.
He said, "Ask him about the floorboards in the office." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Just say to him, ask him what did he keep under the floorboards in the office."
Well,
whatever it was, anyway, you sold it.
Yes.
Whatever it was under the floorboard. Hope it wasn't guns.
No, it was no. It was before guns. We didn't think of guns in those days. That was only later.
What did you keep under the floorboard?
I can't tell you, but
he wouldn't tell me either.
No, but he wouldn't. Of course, he wouldn't.
You got them from the boats, from the sailers.
I certainly did.
Yes, so I'm beginning.
Well, you see, there's a side of me that maybe perhaps you don't know anything about. I'm a little blackmailer. Yes. No, not a blackmailer. What's the word? Contraband, what do you call that? Black marketer.
Right.
I'm a black marketeer.
A spiv, is it? Is it a spiv?
Well, I was never a spiv. I'm a black marketeer.
Right.
You see, do you know that in Derry/Londonderry, I discovered this very early. I went to work for this firm, a very reputable firm, who are still operating. And I have to say that, I can't say anything about the firm. They were very good to me. Mm-hmm. But anything that I say now has nothing to do with them.
Yes.
Okay. I just happened to work for them, but they knew nothing about what was going on. And at that time I discovered there were, before peace, there was an economy here. Do you remember? Mm-hmm. Boats used to come in and they used to unload cargoes. It was what's called commercial activity. Yes. All that stopped when they extended the dole. But all that used to happen, and men called dockers used to work and be paid. It was like, they were called jobs. Remember the jobs?
Right.
People had them here. So what would happen was lorries would come and take all these goods and distribute them amongst shops, and they would sell them. It's what's called banter and barter, you see. And this is the way the economy worked. And, people made money and went out and bought things. It was a strange way to live, but that's the way it was. But I discovered, and this was the shining example of how my life was to go. I remember talking to a man down there, these big warehouses down in the docks where they used to unload the boats and put all the goods in, and then maybe the lorries would come and get them the next morning, whatever, later on in the afternoon. But when they took them off the boat, they stored them in these big warehouses. You see, it could be anything: bicycles, tractors, everything.
Right.
Everything came in by sea. And I remember talking to one of the customs officials, and he said, "This is a terrible town." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Do you know how much we have to allow for pilferage?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Do you know how much we have to allow for pilferage?" I said, "How much?" He said, 33 1/3. I said, "What?" The presenter expands and explains in detail the nature of this criminal activity, secure in the knowledge that there must be some point beyond which ancient crimes are not prosecutable, if indeed such a word exists in the English lexicon. I discovered that there was a niche in the market. Cigarettes, drink,
Yes.
and something else.
Usually sell cigarettes, drink, and whatever you kept under the floorboard.
No, but see, everything was kept under the floorboard. But there was a special board
Yes.
that certain thing was kept in there. And I'm not talking about drugs or anything like that. Nothing criminal. No. All I'm saying was that whenever I got my contraband, I would bring it up and I'd put it under a certain section of the floor. Nobody knew about this. Certain people in the office knew, but none of the management knew about this, nor did the firm know anything about this. It was purely moonlighting on my part. See, we used to be in there every hour of the day, you see, because it's not a 9-to-5 job. We'd be
But the other workers knew about it.
Well, some of them did. This
man knew about it.
Well, he would have been one of the more criminal of the workers. Yes. See, a lot of them were very innocent. They only come in from 9 to 5. We were the night crew. You see, we'd come in at all times. You see, we'd be in at night, that kind of thing. So there's certain floorboards in the office that were, should I say, ajar. So there was space underneath. So there was plenty of room for contraband, cigarettes and whiskey.
Yes. And something else.
And do you know what you used to get that blue vodka?
Yes.
Stuff from Russia. And you could nearly, it was just great. It was like 90% proof or something like that. And we had cigarettes. We had Russian cigarettes. They were cardboard.
And you sold them on.
Oh, yes.
Yes, so I believe.
But there was another special floorboard under which was placed certain items. And that is what the man refers to.
That's what he said. And then off he drove and just left me. He said, what was under the floorboard?
I can't tell you what they were.
What they were.
I can't tell you what they were.
What they were.
They were very popular. The world of film still has an uncanny hold over the presenter and interruptus, both of whom can instantly recall minor details from movies that are often 60 years old. Do you know the way people hype a movie? This is the hype movie of the year. You're looking at me as if I'm some kind of weirdo.
No, I'm not. I'm listening to you. I'm listening because
you're listening to me?
Yes, I'm listening to you.
I can't believe it.
Yeah,
because I thought you were looking at me.
I heard...
You felt sorry for the way you were looking at me there.
No, I think it was you.
See the way he was looking at me, Emma? Did you see the way he was looking at me?
I was waiting to hear something. No, I was listening. You
wouldn't hear something, then nothing came.
No, that's right. Judge Judy says...
No, all I'm saying is that I am not saying that Colin Firth, I thought he was very good, but the movie itself is not worth the hype.
You see, I think it's good to know when you're talking and someone's listening to you, and you know that someone's listening to you. You knew I was listening to you.
No, I just thought you were just about to say something horrible.
It's better that someone someone's listening to you than someone who's not listening to you, and you know they're not listening to you. That's very off-putting.
You were looking at me like...
I was looking at you, and I was. When you finished, I was about to ask you something.
You were looking at me like a dog looks at a man who's just done a card trick.
Yes, there's no answer to that.
Did you ever notice that? Did you ever see that? That's a great expression. I heard somebody saying that the other day. I said, "What did he look like?" He looked at me as if he was a dog who was watching a man doing a card trick. Did you ever do a card trick in front of a dog?
No.
Here, boy. And he goes up and he looks at you, and then you go, they do the card trick, and the dog just goes.
No, this is what I was going to say to you. I was going to ask you, was it you?
There's that wee horrible man, the TV, the wee man that looks like a monkey. He's always on the one. Who put this TV on? It's in the corner. I'm starting to look at it. The man on the One Show. The man on the One Show, the wee man. Hello, how are you doing? Where do they get these people in the freak shows? People in the One Show? Where do they get them? Look, he's doing something about a house or something.
He's on
everything.
Watching TV.
I can't help it. Ken puts it on because he knows I look at it. He knows it'll make me make a mistake. Anyway,
was it you that said the other day? I heard someone say that the mark of a good film years ago was that people would be talking about it for weeks on end.
Oh yeah, but see, people
Was it
don't
you
see the
said
same
that?
movies
Was it you?
anymore. Yeah.
Somebody said that, and I thought that's quite true.
No, but you were
because-
talking about television. People used to talk. Well, they used to call it what they call it now. It's a water cooler moment. People watch the same television shows, and then they used to talk about them, but they don't talk about them anymore, except
but
Coronation
men
Street.
men usually talk about films. Men usually tell other men about films. You should go and see it.
Yeah,
And
but see,
they would
films
tell
have
them all
become
about it.
films have become too disposable now. See, a film is on for a week and then they forget about it.
Yes.
There was a time when you talk about a film for 2 months.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Remember the Magnificent Seven?
No, but there were
There's people I know, there are men sitting in pubs still talking about Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen yet, as we speak, and that's 60 years ago. 50. 60. 50.
Sure.
There are men who are sitting in pubs who are still asking, Can you name the Magnificent Seven, can you?
But sure,
A man said that to me the other day, and do you know something? I could. The movie of the year is The King's Speech. The presenter has been to see this and didn't like it. It bored him. What is wrong with him? It was interesting to hear that you thought The King's Speech was overacted. You've obviously never stammered. Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about it as a movie.
I did.
What?
I did.
Did you stammer?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
And I'll tell you why.
Why did you stammer?
Very simple.
Why?
Because one of the wee boys that I was playing with there, no, you're a child. Right.
Do you want to rephrase that?
Yeah, one of the wee boys you ran around with.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's better.
he had a stammer. I was aping him. Do you understand? I
understand that because
I wasn't doing it
I
funny
understand-
or anything.
I understand that.
I just started talking in the house the way, and I remember my mother saying to me,
what are you
tell me-
talking like that for?
I stop that. You haven't got a stammer. Stop that. Stop
You-
that.
You're the only person who had a stammer who actually adopted a stammer.
Yes, and
That's very rare.
Yes, but it's true.
That's very rare. But I can understand that train of thought because there was a guy whom I used to walk to school with. I won't name him. And I used to kind of, admire. At the time you admired people. You looked up to people.
Yeah.
There's certain people that you liked and you admired them, some quality about them you liked, and you wanted to be like them.
Yeah.
And he was very flat-footed.
Oh,
No, really flat-footed. So I became flat-footed too. I was walking along there like a penguin. People would say, "Why are you walking like that?" I said, "Well, I think it's nice." I did. You stammered because you wanted to. You must be the only person who ever did that. I stammered during my whole
That's how children. That's how we learn. Sure.
imitation.
Yes, yeah.
I stammered. I did during my whole childhood, and up until reasonably recently, I still do on a certain word. So believe me, Colin Firth was perfect. Yes, he was great. Who was the greatest Look,
Jerry Anderson.
who was the greatest stammerer of all time? The fellow called Patrick Campbell. Do you remember he used to be on all those
that's
TV
right.
programs?
That's
and he made a virtue out of it. So when you're trying to get the word out, your whole body feels that it's seizing up, your throat closes up, sweat pours down your back, and it physically hurts. It really hurts in the effort to get those words out, and that's not even taking into account the complete humiliation you feel. So no overacting in the King's Speech. I felt this every effort. No, he was good. I just thought I just didn't work for me. I don't know. Do you know one of the things I used to spend a lot of time with a guy who had a terrible stammer. I talked about this guy before. He was a singer, songwriter, show band guy. And the only, as I mentioned before, the only genius I ever met in the music business, in a business full of Hugos. Well, he was Billy Brown, his name was, and he was with a band called the Freshmen, and I was with the band. I was with him for about a year and a half or so, and we spent a lot of time in the van travelling about. He had the most terrible stammer. Incredible. He couldn't get a word out at all, but he could sing like an angel.
Yeah.
And that's the most wonderful thing about that. People who stammer, if they sing, they tend to sing all the time. As a matter of fact, he would actually sing some words to us if he wanted to communicate. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, and I don't doubt it.
What he would do, he'd say, he would say, pass me over the cigarette. He would do that. I'm serious.
Yeah.
That's what he would do because he realised if he couldn't get a word out, he would sing the phrase. And we got to the stage where we didn't think that was unusual. But then the odd the odd thing about that was that we get used to that. And if we were maybe in a pub or something, and other people were around us who didn't know us, and he'd be singing to me. He'd be saying, "Jesus, boys, that's a crack there, boys. That's a crack there."
Jerry, can I buy you a drink?
Buy you a drink, Jerry. Jerry, I'd like a vodka and white lemonade. Easy on the ice.
There's a call for you on one.
Thank you, Sean. The presenter claims that only Derry people can harmonise naturally. He has obviously never heard of Wales. Suppose you're going on a bus. 3 men went to Mow Meadow, that kind of. Going along on a bus excursion, all the boys, all the girls start to sing. Everywhere else, they just sing the melody. In Derry, there's but 5 or 6 of them sing in harmony. It just happens. I noticed it all the time. But that's not the thing I didn't like about the movie.
What movie?
The film about the Shirt Factory Hall.
I thought you were talking about Lonely Are the Brave.
No, I left that. We're now at the documentary about the shirt factories in Derry Stoke Grundy. It's good. It's well worth watching. I think it's next Wednesday night, but I'll give you more details as the time progresses. And I appear in it, and I'm talking, not all the time, but, just a wee occasionally, about bits and pieces. But there's one thing I didn't like about it.
Well, why did they not ask me?
Because they didn't want you.
What, to show your neck? Your old neck?
Is
your old neck in
my
it?
old neck is in it. Oh. You see, as listeners will be aware, I've been, working at my neck. Yeah. And I've discovered a potion that makes my neck smooth
and you have
lovely.
A good neck,
and it's working. See my neck?
Yes, you have a very good neck.
Well, you want to see my neck in this? It's my old neck.
Oh.
And I have some neck actually appeared with it.
Well, can they not put a sign up, sort of, old neck?
I asked him. He said it hasn't been transmitted yet. So it's Imagine Productions who made it. And I'm going to say, I know the people who, Michael McGowan, I'm going to say, whenever you show that film, could you have a little sign whenever I'm on saying, this is Jerry Anderson's old neck.
Yes.
But please ignore. Morning. This is reminding me of
There's a man waiting on you.
Jack, stop. Morning,
He's
smooth
been waiting
neck.
now for 12 minutes or more.
Would you please check out page 24 of The Star? There's a cure for baldness, 15 quid. That's a big change from £4,000. Jimmy Nesbitt's people. Sean, what's this? Sorry, I'm just looking at these
There's
things
a man
here.
with news.
All right. If it hadn't been for Jerry's under the floorboards, the population of Derry would now be the size of Calcutta. He's got it in one.
The man knows the score.
Got it in one. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Jack.
Oh, Geordie, hello, how are you?
Good news.
Good
Mine
news.
tank busted and I was flooded out and
I know.
the electric went man.
It was a hard time for you.
Oh, wasn't it a rough old start to the year?
Indeed, yes. I think your sanity went because you asked Wendy out for a meal. That was a mistake.
Was it?
I think so, but she's not for you, Geordie. She's not for you. No,
Right.
she's well. How can I put this? You're a little rough trade as far as Wendy is concerned.
Oh.
Wendy is a lady who's more used to the sophistication of the Lisburn Road.
Oh.
And Loch Brickland is not her place to be. I'm not saying she's a snob or anything, but she's not your woman. She's
Well,
not your type. You need someone a bit rougher.
Sorry, dear.
Someone that dropped arse,
Sorry, I not lost any sleep over.
Well, you asked her and publicly if you'd go out for a meal with her.
Oh, well, was any harm in that?
Well, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it because she had to refuse you.
What?
She had to refuse you.
Well, that was her prerogative.
I know, but the point is she didn't like refusing you because, not publicly. It's all right refusing you and if you sidled up to her in the BBC corridor and said you want to go for a meal, she said, no way. But she had to do it publicly. And you were also publicly shot down as well.
Right.
You see, 2 humiliations in one. 2 humiliations never make a right.
Well, that's life.
But then again, if you don't try, how are you going to know? Thank you for listening. Back tomorrow.